Hello guys, in this video we are going to cover two more chapters. What are these two more chapters? Well, first chapters we are going to cover in this video will be the Excel terminology. Well, in VBA we use the terminology. So the terminology I am going to discuss. Now the next chapter will be about comments. What are the comments? How to write the comments in Excel macros. How this is useful? Well, if I talk about the terminology, if you are learning any language, then you must be facing some issue regarding some terms. So you don't understand some terms, then you are not getting that clarity of that programming. So if you know the terms of that particular language, then you will be able to understand it properly. That's how these terms play important role whenever you are learning any language. Now if I talk about the macros comment next chapter, well, this macros comments is definitely going to help you if you are going to create a long programs, and if you wanted to see that your program is understandable to others also, and if you are working with the large team, then you must use this macro comments. Well, how to use it and what are the benefits, and what are this all these things like terminology we use in like function, module, and all these things we are going to discuss in these two chapters. So these videos will be also the same things like which we discussed earlier also. Like first we will be discussing the theory parts, thereafter we will be going for the practicals. Let's go to our tutorial and learn. So now what is the Excel terms? First Excel terms is modules. What is modules? Modules, if you wanted to understand it better, then let's call our last video. In our last video, we have made one program which was hi in our message box. So where do we write our codes? We write our codes in module. So what is module? Module is the space where we write our code, or module is the area where we write our codes. So the same thing is written here. Now how we can insert the module? We have to go into this insert button, then there will be a button called module. If you hit that button, then the module will be created. The first module will be named as module 1. Now let's talk about what we write into the module. So we write programs into the modules. So what kind of programs we write? Well, if you talk about these programs, this kind of programs called procedures, and these procedures are of two types. So let me first introduce you to these procedures. So procedures is a series of VBA statements instructing what to do. Suppose you are writing some code into your program, then what this code will do? It will tell programs to do certain things. So what is procedures? Procedures is the series of statement which tells program what to do. Now we'll go for two more terms. We have created our modules here. It is showing here. Now the procedures are the group of statement executed as a whole, and it says the program what to do. Well, procedures are of two types as I already discussed. What are those two types? Two types are subprocedures and functions. So what are these functions? What are the subprocedures? This all will be learning in details. So let's first, we have created this insert module. Now we are writing some code. So we have writing some number, adding some numbers code. So that is number 1 and number 2. So now this is the simple code which you can write anywhere. It is just similar to our codes which we have discussed earlier. We say hi in our message box in our last video. In this we are just trying to calculate or do some sum of two numbers. So now it is just a simple program. I'll not go into detail because we are focusing on the terminology only. So we'll discuss the terminology. So now let's talk about the function. What is this functions? Well, functions are the reusable codes which we can call anywhere in the program. Well, what do I mean by reusable? If you are writing a function, then you can call it in multiple programs. So if you are writing like filtering out some of the activities in one program and other program also you wanted to use the same thing, then you can call this function and you can perform your task. So in order to perform that task, you don't have to write code again and again. You have to call that particular function only. So function has to be called. Now VBA allows you to write user-defined functions as well. Well, VBA has its own functions, but it allows you to write your own function and statement as well. How this function is written? Well, function will have some beginning as well as some ending. So end function will be written, beginning will there also we have to mention some function. So it is just like our sub procedures. So now let's discuss about what is sub procedures. Well, it is similar to our function. So we have written some code in our last examples. What was that code? Let's recall it. The code was like to say hi in our message box. So in that we have written some codes and we have executed it. How did we write that code? We have written that code under sub. There was some sub, then say hi sub procedures, then it was end with end sub. So these were all written in one thing. So it is just like our full program. So it is called subprocedure. It is just similar to the function, but it has some different functionality as well. If we talk about the function, then function may or may not return a value, but it will perform its task once it is called in the program. But what about subprocedures? If you talk about subprocedures, then you cannot call the subprocedures. Actually, it is the whole program, so you have to write it, and you cannot call it from anywhere. Well, you can assign some hotkey for this function as well as some subprocedures, so you can perform these things. But if you are performing subprocedures, then it will not return a value. It will perform certain tasks. But if you talk about function, it may or may not return the value. Suppose you wanted to do filtering activity, then it will not return any value. It will just filter the things. But if you want to add some two numbers by using functions, then it will return a value with the addition of two numbers. Now go to the fourth chapter, which is VBA macro comments. Now let's discuss about this. Comments are used to document the program logic and user information. So let me give you this detailed view of this comments, how this is necessary, how it is useful for you. And what do I mean by logic and user information? Well, you are writing a code for anything, then it may happen that it may end up having 3 to 4 pages. Then what if you have to go to that particular code and change something? You have to read all the code again and again. What if you are in a large organization and they have given you the task that you have to update this code, and you have updated it once and again one more employee is going through the same code? How will you use these comments to get most benefit into the situations? Well, in the first situations what we talk about, if we have a 2 to 3 pages of code, and what we'll do, we'll be writing some comments that this particular lines will be performed for these things. So if the comment is mentioning that this particular line will be performing these things, then you don't have to read whole code. You have to go to that particular lines and change some of your parameters into that particular lines only. So now from that comment you are getting this benefit. Now what is the other benefits if you are working with the organization and you have your team and they have given you tasks to modify certain codes? Well, there also it will help you. Suppose you are writing some codes and this code has been distributed to all your colleagues and you have to make some changes. So one colleague make the changes and he do the comment that his name and also whatever changes he has made. So now he is documenting his user information and what time he did these changes. These all things will be helpful to other employee if he is going through the same code. Then he will be knowing, okay, this employee has made that remark. He has done some changes in the code at this particular point of time. So that's how other employees will also be knowing, and they will not be going through the same codes and they will not be wasting their times. That's how it is useful. Now let's dive into it. How do we write the codes? How do we write the comments? What are the different ways to write this comment? See, we have already learned this documents the program logic, so we can just like see that these lines are performing these functions or this action. So that is the logic of these lines, so that we can document into our macro comments. So now let's see how we can write these comments. You can write the comment in two forms. First is the single quotes. If you write a single quote, thereafter whatever you will be writing, it will be considered as a comments instead of the executable code. And you can write it in another way also. If you will write is rem, thereafter whatever sentence you will be writing, it will be considered as a comments instead of the part of the code. So Excel will not execute it. So let's see how we will be writing this. Now these are the two ways that let's see. This script is invoked after successful logging and written by Pawan Patidar. Return value true, false. So see, this is beginning with this single quotation. So that's how we know it is a comment. And there is another way which I told you already. This is the rem. The script is written to validate the entered input. So that's how that is also one of the way to write this comment. So now let's go into the Excel. So this is our Excel. What is the shortcut to open the VBA Virtual Basic? In our last video, we have discussed that there is a shortcut to open the Virtual Basic application. What was that? So what was that shortcut? It was Alt F11. So we are pressing Alt F11. It is opening this Virtual Basic application. Now we will be inserting one module here. We will be creating some sub procedures to work upon. This is sub procedures. And what are the sub procedures? We will be giving the name sub procedures comment. We are beginning and it is ending. again this subprocedures will be executed as a whole, and it will execute as a whole, and it will not return value, it will just perform its task. So now let's see, and we will be writing here our comments. So I'll just copy paste from here to there so that you understand it better. Now see, we have written our comment code. So what output this program should give us? Well, it should give us nothing, it is just for the information. So let's see how this will run. We are running this program, so I'm pressing F5. So F5 is the shortcut to run the program. So if I'm pressing F5 or this run button, nothing is happening because it will not do anything, because it is just a comment function. It will just it is just to show the coder that these are the comments for this particular programmer. So it is just to show the programmer, so whenever he'll be opening this program, he'll be able to see this code. Let's try out our other forms of writing this comment. So this was the other forms. REM, the script is written to validate the entered input, and REM modified by VBA course Pawan Pandita. We'll execute this as well, and we'll try to find out if there is any error for that particular comment. So I'm executing this with the F5 function, so nothing is happening, means this is executing, but it is just to show that there is some comment exists. So it will not be treating it as a part of the coding, it will be treating just like our comment, and it will be doing nothing. That's it guys for today's video. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel, and comment below if you have any doubt.